This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, Bharat, yesterday I don't have time to install these packages. We'll go through today and we'll ask tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, that is fine then. So, do you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Still, my instance is running from yesterday. Okay, let me log into that. So, we were left somewhere with a Unix commands. So, the commands which are related to file handling. So far we have seen how to use the ls to list out any directories and folders in our folder structure or in our file system. Uh, As we have already discussed, wherever you are in, right now I'm in my Ubuntu, home/Ubuntu. And if you want to get a list of all the files and folders which are there in a different file system or a different root location, let's say in my case, I'm just listing out my root folder structure. So from anywhere we can list out, and based on the list, we can see what kind of a file it is, whether it is file or a directory, or it is simply a link, a soft link or hard link. So, and if you see here, it is a directory. ESRV is a directory, and mostly the other things are folders. Sorry, this is a soft link. This one also a symbolic links which they have created by default or by the system. And I should have shown you how it is pointing to user bin from our bin. And we can see anytime whenever we use ls-lrt, it will just recursively in reverse way, it will just list out based on a time. What I exactly mean by that? I'm using a touch command to create any empty file. Now I'm in my user space. I just created a test file now. It was displayed in a very fast. That means for us to access from the command line, it is a very first from the bottom. And if you want to just a list out, it will just list only the files. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to see all the hidden files as well, the files are folders which starts with dot, which will not be visible by default whenever you do ll long list. or a list. So we have to use ls-a or ll to list out all the files, even hidden files. And yesterday we were talking about links. I have created a sample soft link from the original.txt file. So whatever I do modifications on top of that, this original txt file, so it will get reflected into a soft link. What exactly by that? So basically, whenever a file is getting created in our file system, internally in a memory locations, it will create a registry, or it will save in the form of a address in our file system. This is file 1, file 2, file 3. So now this case, I have created one soft link, which is getting pointed to my file 3. Imagine it is this one is an original txt file. So now this case, I have a file system, which is a hardware or something, the EBS volume which we are attaching, or the default storage of our EC2 compute engine. So when we create any file in a file system, it will just occupy a memory inside that, and the soft link is just nothing but just a reference, like we used to have pointers in OOPS concept. So it is just a reference to the existing file location. It won't create any new file system in our any new memory location. So we call them as a inode value. In Linux, the memory location any file is getting created is a inode value. So inode value is the same for original.txt as well as soft link. So that's why it won't create any memory location, and any store, it won't occupy any storage. You might have a doubt that why we are using, since it is pointing to the same memory location, because uh, there are some situations where you are not supposed to directly run this original.txt. In our case, let me just show you our file system. So my file system is referring to user bin, and they have created a bin as a soft link or hard link. So instead of I'm running or I'm executing my commands on sbin, if you remember yesterday, I have restricted my user not to use Java. And you can see here, I have restricted my user not to use a Java. That is user bin Java. Let's imagine I have created a soft link for this user bin Java, and I have restricted the soft link instead of restricting my original file. So I restrict my original file to just a reading purpose, and I will give full permissions for my soft link. So whatever you do for a soft link, let's say by mistake you have forgotten and you have removed our soft link. So to remove any file or a directory, we use a rm command, remove command, and now you can see there is no soft link. Soft link was not there. Since I have removed the soft link, the soft link is not there so far. So again, I'll create a soft link. And let me check the content. What is there with a cat? The, the same content we have on both files, since it is referring to the same. So let me just append some more text to the existing soft link, whether it will take or not. Now you can see it has added a new content inside that. Through this, through the soft link, we can also update the main file system. And what if now I have deleted a soft link? What if I have deleted the original file? Even I have deleted a soft link earlier. I was able to, let me just, yeah, I think earlier I've shown you, even I have removed a soft link. We have a original.txt file. So now let me just try to remove original file system itself. I just removed original file system, and the soft link is just showing headless with red color. So it is clearly showing there is no such file or a directory, since it is nowhere pointing. It is just an headless file. Now we can remove it directly. So this is how a soft links works. Typically, as I said, in real time, there are situations where you need to point your install locations instead of giving a direct permissions, or a whole execute and read permissions to the main file system or main executable or main application or my application server. So I will just create a soft link to the user accessible location, because as I mentioned yesterday, while installing in my local machine some Python packages, I don't have access. It was throwing some error. Instead of referring or addressing in that particular location, I can create a soft link there and I can point to that particular location, and user can use inside his user workspace. So any software or a link I want to give it to him, I can directly share home/ubuntu, since in his workspace he has the privileges to execute any commands like a Java, any software or any applications you want to give access. and the change directory and ls pwd rm. These are some basic commands which we used to do in our day-to-day activities. The another command, now you can create a new file with a touch or a cat. So we can use any commands to create a new file. So if you want to create only empty file, we have only option to create it with touch. And if you want to create a file system or a file with the help of any other file, imagine how I have in my home. Now right now I'm a user, root user. You can see a hash symbol for a super user. Whenever you switch to root user from the normal user, from now Ubuntu to root user, the terminal will be changed automatically. Earlier it was a dollar and now it was converted to hash, which is a super user. From original, since I have removed that original file, let me use a test one. As I said, cat is something concatenation or to list out what is the to display what is the content inside my text file or any of the file, not only the text file, any log files in real time you want to see, or any script files you want to see. And you feel that you want to save the whole content to some other file, like redirecting your output to the different file system or to the new file. So greater than is something we used to do for appending our terminal output, command line output. What happened when we execute this particular cat? Now you can see there is nothing. I'm just adding a content. This arrow is something a redirectional operator. What exactly it will do? The redirectional operator, it will redirect anything which gives from the first command. Let's say this case echo is my first command and I want to redirect or I want to save this particular output of my command one to a different file, and I can simply use this double greater than. And there is an another option also. Let me just print out first what is there inside my test1 file. Now you can see test.initial commit. And what if you use the same command once again? Now I have echoed the another message to the same file system. Sorry. See, we have another message which is there in particular test1.txt file. So it will keep on add to the existing content. Imagine when you don't want to keep on appending your changes to the existing file, and you just want to override your existing changes. So one right click, one greater than is enough to override. Now you can see it has overridden with only test initial commit. And anytime, let me just override with another text. So I have overridden it. It is not appending. If you observe here, it is not appending, rather it is overriding. So when you use a double greater than, double redirectional operator, it will just append the output. And when we use a single operator, it will just override the existing one. Oh, 1 second. Oh, so sorry. So yes, we are in redirecting the output of any command, or not only echo. This is not only for echo. So if you are using any other commands which will display a content onto the terminal, like whenever we are listing out, like example ls-lrta, and even this output you can redirect ls dot out. So let me just list out what is there inside that. Now you can see everything which is giving output earlier, the same is redirected to my new file ls.out. So this is how when we are starting any process, or some sort of logs you want to see, once the terminal is closed, so all this information will be removed. We can see only executed commands, but you don't see the result. What happened when you have executed, what happened when you have restarted your service. So those logs should be saved with the format of concatenation appending double greater than or something in a different formats. So that is how we can utilize ls and a cat. So coming to other different commands, like our day-to-day activities, changing a directory. By this time you might have already aware of how to change to the particular directories. So just let me just go back one directory. Right now I'm in a root file system, and somewhere I'm moving inside my snap. There is a folder inside my root. The folder name is a snap, and I can see clearly it is in a different color than other file system. This is a file, and this is a file, and this one is a directory, and this one is also a file. And if you want to see that what is the difference between file and directory, and you can clearly see here one directory back I'm just listing out. So here user snap I'm in, and I just list down what is there in my snap. The snap folder contains two subfolders again, and from the same folder I have listed down what is there in my previous directory. Previous directory in the sense my user home. I have explained you about this tilde slash. So this tilde slash is something which talks about a user home directory. Right now I'm a root user, So my user home directory will be /root. So tomorrow I will be into different user, my own user. So it will create under /home/Nelaku. So this is my username. And for root file system, since the root is a 1 second, can someone mute? Yep, thank you. Yeah, in a root file system, why you might have a doubt that my 1 second. Let me just exit from this. My new user, whatever Ubuntu user which I'm trying to log in, is created under home/Ubuntu. And when it comes to the root user, when we switch to root user, it is into root file system /root. Yes, it is a system defined default user. That's where it will create this particular user in a root level. And this root user is having a privileges to delete everything in our file system. So when we apply this rm-rf slash, it will delete everything inside our file system. Our operating system will be deleted. We cannot access any service. So always we should make sure whenever we are applying rm-rf, we are removing a total content of, when we are applying rm-rf, it will delete everything in the file location which we have mentioned. Example, now I'm in a snap page. Let me just copy my snap with a different name. So I'm creating a new snap2 folder from the snap1 or snap0, and it is showing not specified. What is that? -r, omitting directory snap. So it is trying to copy snap folder to snap2. So like how we used to do in a Windows, we just used to right click and take a copy and paste it in somewhere. But in a Linux, everything, since everything is in a commands, uh, this is a bit advantage, because from wherever you are in, right now I'm in a /root user, I can copy any file from any location. If you unless you are aware of all the folder structure of yours, I mean exactly you should know where is your file system. Let's say in my case, Ubuntu is my user, home Ubuntu, and there is a test files there I have created, and I just want to copy them to my local, to my current directory. So whenever you use dot, means always in a line Linux file system, dot is a current directory. So CP has copied a test file. Earlier it was not there. Earlier we have only 3 folders when I list out. And after doing a copy, it has copied the file from different user workspace or any file anywhere from the file system. You can copy from anywhere to anywhere.
Why this map to was not created in the folder?
Yeah, I'll be coming to that point. So CP, whenever we are using a copy command, we should provide the source followed by the destination. So here I have mentioned CP somewhere in my user home. Let me just zoom it out. Yeah. So I'm copying a file from home Ubuntu test .txt. This is my source location. So make sure that while using any command, every command has its own mandatory parameters. Example, what is that mandatory parameters? I'm just using a CP and pressing enter, and it is showing missing file operand. So if you want to try, if you want to see what are the options it is available by default, you can go with CP -help. It will just list out what are the options that I can use. And there is a -r option, recursive, copy directories recursively, and there are many. The preserve, if you want to preserve the state like the creation date or modified timestamp, who is the owner, everything you want to preserve, it will just preserve all the file system information and it will just create a new copy. So likewise, there are many options for each and every command. Now this case, I just pressed enter after CP because it is looking for a mandatory pair arguments. Mandatory arguments are source and destination. If you imagine in general with a common sense, we are applying a CP command. What is that CP means? It is just a copying a file from one location to another location. If you are not passing any parameters to this particular command, it won't execute because it needs a source location and a destination location, so that it will copy file 1 from the from somewhere in a file system to the destination. I just mentioned my current directory. So or otherwise you can mention /root or some temp location or something to var opt or something var www html location. So imagine you have to copy a configuration, some nginx.xml file or settings.xml file to somewhere in opt location. So you don't need to be there in that particular target location. Wherever you are in, if you want to copy, so I have a copy, I have a nginx XML file inside my temp folder. So from the temp folder, I'm copying to the opt nginx folder. So this is how we need to use any command. So before applying any command, we should know what is the purpose of the command. Based on that, we have to decide what are the parameters we have to provide to that particular command. Yeah, coming to the previous one. So I have tried copying snap to snap2. It was failed because I haven't used -r. Why? What is the need of -r? Earlier we have tried copying test or applog to applog1. So applog file to applog1, it is able to create successfully. There is no error message. And now we can see applog1 which is created recently. So for this, yeah, since it is a file, it is a single file, single record, we can copy directly with regular CP command. And what if you want to copy a directory and it consists of a multiple file systems, like we have a snap, inside a snap, we have Amazon SSM agent, LXD, and inside that there may be a many folders or files, and you can see there are three more folders inside my Amazon SSM agent. 4046, there is nothing. So the inside that common also nothing. If we have a multiple files and folders inside like a hierarchical architecture, like a file system is consisting of multiple child items. So my snap is having a two folders, and each and every folder is consisting of multiple subfolders or child folders. So in that case, we need to provide -r small or a capital or is a fine. If you want to copy multiple files inside a single folder, so multiple files and folders I have in my Snap. Now it has copied. It has created a new file, new folder. Let me just list out what is there. The same files which we have on our Snap directory, the same two files. And that is for ls or cp, some other commands. And the while redirecting, this is a mandatory, we should know where we are in. Like let's say pwd, and I just want to go to, imagine now I'm in my temp folder. I want to redirect to my user home somewhere in my slash home ubuntu. Now this case I'm a root user, I want to move to the root user slash root folder. If you press enter, cd and enter, I'm just changing a directory, I'm giving a nothing. That means it will redirect to the user home by default. Yesterday I have explained about this and I'm just repeating again. So these are some basic commands we use every day-to-day life. And one more thing, by mistake you have entered cd and somewhere in a file system you're there. Now I'm moving inside Amazon. I'm in var log Amazon folder. For some purpose, like for a troubleshooting or any other purpose, I might have moved to this particular location. I might need to move. So right now I'm in varlog Amazon SSM audits folder, and by mistake I have come out. I have pressed enter and I have given any arguments. Now it has come down to my root folder. And if you want to go back to the previous location, instead of typing everything there, if you use hyphen minus symbol, it will just take you to the previously wherever you were there, wherever the terminal was there previously, it will just keep you there. So you don't need to specify everything varlog Amazon again and again, since that is just a previous state, one previous state. So what is that one previous state? Now I just come down to one directory back. Cd dot dot is something if you want to go back to one previous folder or one previous directory. In Linux, we always call the folders as a directories or directories, and files are as visual. The naming convention is the same. So I just redirected one directory back. I just come out of my audits folder. Now I'm in SSM. I just pressed cd hyphen cd space hyphen. Now you can see I moved back to audits, not to the root location. Earlier I was there, but after that I have changed my directory to one directory back. So from SSM, I just gone back to audits. Audits is inside my SSM only. No matter where is the location, it will just keep you to the previous location. So that is how we have to handle cd command. And any location, if you need any location by providing the absolute path. So there are things, absolute path and relative path. So what exactly relative path is an absolute path? So this is something, a terminology which we follow. Let's say I want to go to this particular log folder, var log Amazon. I can give cd hyphen this var log Amazon. If I press enter, I will be directly moving to this particular location. This is an absolute path. And what is a relative path? Relative path where I don't need to provide from the root file system. Absolute Absolute path is something we are providing from the root file system location. Hey, from slash root directory, we have a var folder. Inside var folder, we have a log folder. Inside a log folder, we have a Amazon folder. So take me to this particular location. That is a absolute path. So instead of absolute path, right now I'm in already audits folder. So I just going to go back to the Amazon folder. So just two directories away. So what I can use here, as I mentioned, double dot is something which you want to go back to the one directory back. So now I want to go back to the two directories. I'm giving a slash. Since in a file system, everything is a slash. I mean directory to directory. Inside my folder, there is a two folders. So if you want to redirect to that particular location, you need to specify folder 1 slash folder 2. And now we can see I just come back to the two directories back. In other way, let me just go back and show you. And now I'm in audits page again, audits folder. I can use cd dot dot. If you're not sure about how many directories I need to go back, how many dot dots I need to use. So now you can see I have used only single dot dot. One time I just come back to the one directory back. You can list out this audits folder is still inside my SSM folder. And you want to go back, you can use a one by one. If you use one by one, you will redirect to the root directory. Now you are in a root directory, root file system. So one by one you are coming back to the root and directly to the var, and right now you are in root. So this is how we can use a change directory cd command. Cd is a change directory. That means anytime you want to go back to any particular folder location. In Windows, we used to use a Windows Explorer for moving to one directory to one folder to another folder, one directory to another directory. So in a command line for switching between a directories or changing between the directories, we have to use a cd, which is a change directory. And coming to the uh, let me just go back to my root location. And we have seen snap and snap2 we have created with the help of a copy command. As you know, copy creates another copy on a file system, and some situations you don't want to copy. So you don't want to copy, rather you just want to rename your file system or a directory. Anything if you want to rename, move is a command. With move we can rename either file or a folder. So now this case I'm just renaming test to test.txt. So we have only text here, test here, and I'm just renaming to test.txt. Now we can see test was renamed to test.txt. So this is not copying, this is just renaming. That means it is pointing to the same file system in a storage, and it is just a renaming with a different name, like we used to rename our any downloaded files or our resumes or any files which we have with meaningful information by providing. So likewise we can rename directories also. I have renamed snap2 to snap3. Earlier it was snap2, now it it has become snap3. And the same like we have used the cp command. Move is also in the same way. Move. So what we are moving, a file system or a directory. I'm just renaming it from source to a different naming convention. Even we can achieve not only the rename. Let's say, let me create one folder. I've created a temp folder and I want to move my snap3 folder to temp location. So this means whenever you're planning to install any softwares in your system, like in your dev environment or any other environment, and you need to log into your Linux servers, and you need to download your software in temp location or somewhere. And if you want to install that particular software, sometimes you need to move the downloaded package to the different location, and you need to extract there. Once it is extracted there, and the extraction, I mean, you can use a copy or a move there also. By using a copy, we can move from one location to another location. That is not a moving. The source copy will remain the same, it won't delete, and destination copy, it will create a new copy. So we don't want that. Rather, we just want source is snap3, and I don't want to keep a copy of this. So that's where I'm moving it. So there is no snap3 folder because I don't want to do copies. So rather I want to use this particular temp folder to copy my snap3 inside that. Let me just show you. um, yeah, that anyway, while installing I will show you that any package, how to download any package from the internet. There are commands to do that as well. So here, uh, almost in a file handling, we have gone through listing out and creating a directory mkdir. Just now I have created in a folder mkdir temp. Mkdir is a command where we can create our folders. As you know, touch and the cat and anything with a redirectional operation, we can create a files. But how do we create a folders? Folders can be created with mkdir option. So I want to create a folder with my name, and it will create a folder for us, just an empty folder. So you want to copy or a move your existing. Let's say, imagine now I have a app.log, app1.log. I want to move these two files. I'm just giving app.star to Rajendra. That means whatever the files or folders with the name app.star, it will be moved inside my folder. I'm just listing out. There is no app1 log file or app log file. So both were moved inside my user folder. We can directly move one by one as well. But if you want to move some same sort of, let's say, one situation, you need to delete all the .java files or all the .xml files in that particular location. We can simply use the star. Star is in a regular expression. Move some file name dot start to any location. So it will take an extension of that. Let's say I have a file name 2, file name 3, file name 4. So to include all of them, we can use that regular expression star. And if you want to create a multiple folders and subfolders, what exactly that? I want to create a Rajendra folder. Inside that, I want to create a practice. Inside my practice, I want to create a Linux. And inside my Linux, I want to, now I'm practicing move command. Let's say I'm creating move folder. For creating a folder, we have to use mkdir. Now you can see it is not allowing me to create a folder because I'm trying to create a subfolders inside my folder. Even this particular folder is not there. If I want to create Rajendra new folder, followed by practice inside that, followed by Linux inside that, and move is a final folder which I want to create. And it is showing there is no such file or a directory. Rajendra practice Linux. Yes, Rajendra is there, but practice slash Linux slash mv is not there. If the path is there till here, it will create a file system. I mean, it will create a folder mv, but we don't have a practice inside my user folder, and there is no Linux folder inside that. So hence it is not creating any folder. So what we can, how we can achieve that? If you want to create multiple child items with hyphen p, it will create multiple child items. Let me just list out. So I have a practice folder created. I have a Linux folder created. Inside my Linux, a move folder also created. Let me just list out. Nothing is there inside my move since it is created newly. And with the same example, let me just remove my folder. For removing any directory, we can use rmdir. In general, nobody uses this particular command because you can see rmdir failed to remove Rajendra. Directory is not empty. So typically, this particular command will look for, it will delete only if this particular folder is empty. Otherwise, it won't delete any file or any folder. Sorry, it is for using for deleting a folder, empty folders. So in general, we don't use to get empty folders. So we used to habituate with rm-rf or rm. And even with rm, it is showing cannot remove since it is a directory. Now it is able to delete without asking any confirmation. It has deleted. I am removing it recursively and forcefully. Why recursively? Because my user, whatever my folder is having multiple subfolders, and multiple subfolders are child folders inside that. So for deleting or copying recursive folders and recursive folder structure, we should be having this particular recursive option. If you want to delete a folder which is not empty recursively, if it is consisting of multiple subfolders or child items, we have to use a recursive option. Hyphen F is a force. What if you don't use a hyphen F? Let me just create it out one more time. So now I have created folder with my name and I'm removing it. So it has removed. Imagine, let me just create it once again. I'm just adding some more files. And the situations where we use rm-rf, r is a recursively very frequent we used to do r, but f is only when we when we are sure about you want to delete a folder which consists of a large data forcefully. We wanted to remove it if it is having a multiple folder structures or multiple packages inside my folder. I want to remove sorry, I want to remove everything at one shot. Instead of removing one by one, I just want to remove everything which is there in that particular folder. So we can use rm-rf to delete straight away. So coming to the next CD, PWD and VI. So I think we have already used a VI once. So VI is a text editor. Like I said, if you want to edit any file, so far we are using, uh, let me just list out. So now in my test1.txt file, I have a content of single line, and so far we are using echo command, or we are redirecting our output to the test1 to that particular file. So now you can see it has overridden. It was initial commit earlier. Since I have used a single operator, it is just overridden. So I'm appending one more line. Now we have three lines I have added. So this situation, we are just writing a content into a file with the help of some regular third-party commands. Third-party in the sense, this is not a purpose of adding or updating content of a file. This is just a purpose of to just display content of this file. This is just a echo is a command where we want to echo our output, echo some single line of a string. Example, I want to echo what is my shell. My shell is bin bash. So my particular bin bash, I got an output of a bin bash. Let's say imagine for if I set up a Java home and we want to look what is a Java home value. So or nothing, I have set up a Java home since I have yesterday I have installed with the help of apt-get install openjdk. So it won't set any Java home. Why we are setting a Java home? And yesterday in a package installation, I have explained about how many ways of installing any package. Let me open that. Yeah. So just 2 minutes, I'll just brief about this once again. So installing packages, we have discussed about taking a package and directly install it based on a distribution. Distribution like for Ubuntu, dpkg package, for for Windows exe or MSI, we can directly install it. So what happened when we download the binaries? Yesterday we haven't discussed since because of a time permit, we haven't downloaded any binary and we haven't set any path to that particular binary. By default, whenever you install platform specific packages, like so by default, platform specific packages, whenever you are installing, we don't need to specify uh, the path of the executable. What exactly that? So I'm using ls command, and this ls command, what exactly happened when we use the ls command inside your terminal, your shell will look for ls command installation location.
So it will look for installation location of ls. By default, whatever you type in your terminal, system will look for this particular user bin location, user/bin location. On every command which we execute, it will look for that particular command, whether it is there or whether this package is installed in my machine, in my operating system binaries or not. So if you want to look for any command which you are going to apply every time, you can search for which ls. It will just list out where it has installed or something from where it is getting called. Path is an environmental variable. If you see, I haven't specified anything. I just used a dollar path. Dollar is an what we say, a symbol where we can get the value of this particular path. This is a variable. So without a dollar, let me just give, I'm just printing echo path. So I get a nothing. And if you want to get a value inside of that path variable, you have to use a dollar. And will be discussed later in one session or an hour on a shell script, so that you get to know what are how to reutilize the variables, how to initialize the variables, how to export, or how to initialize value with a string or any other kind of a parameter. And if you see echo path, this path is a system variable where every command which you apply on a Linux file system via shell. Shell is nothing but, you can imagine this particular terminal is also in a shell. I'm getting nothing for which shell. I have used bin. Okay, which sh is showing bin sh, the install location. Rather, I can see what is my shell, bin bash. And let me just list out my local, what is there. In my local, I have installed ZSH. There are multiple types of shell. So shell is nothing but, let me open a diagram of a kernel, which I have shown you earlier. Shell will interact to the kernel. We are a user. We are operating one application, is our terminal. Through our terminal, I'm applying ls command, move command, whatever the commands which we have, I'm applying that. So our shell is interacting. Our shell will take our input like ls command, it will take, and it will look for whether this binary is installed or not. And once binary is available, it will give the ls command to the kernel. Kernel will process with the help of hardware. Hardware in the sense, since our operating system and installed on our hardware, like on our hard disk and a ram, so it will interact to the hardware. It will just give back the result. What does that mean? It will take a processing unit of um, one cpu or 0.0005 cores of cpu and 1 mb or in kbs of a memory to process ls command, since it is utilizing the system resources. So that is a shell. We have multiple shells. Let me just list out what are the shells available. We have a ksh, corn shell, bash, and you might have mostly we use a bash script. Since for my terminal and user interface experience, I have modified my shell to gsh. Gsh is an open source shell where we can get these kind of look and alerts. We can change our times. So every time when I open new terminal, so I do get a different kind of experience. so colors and all those stuff. So for that purpose, since I was aware of how to use the shell, and I just opted for this open source shell. And for the default case, we have a bash, and the KSH is an old one, corn shell, and we have another one, bone again shell, bash. Yeah, the same. Bash is a bone again shell, the name full name of this particular bash, and we have a CSH also. And let me just look if we do have any other by default as such, and our ZSH. So these are different kinds of shell we use to interact with the kernel, but this is not something we don't use very often. So this is a one-time setup. Whenever we get any machine, or even with, if you see Amazon Linux, either it is Ubuntu or Red Hat, by default it will be using bash. So on a bash, so we'll just go back to what we are talking about. On a packaging part, I was talking about whenever we are giving any command, ls, cd, or a move, so any command we are giving here, my shell will look for environmental variable where these particular packages are installed. The system environment variable is a path. You can see user local bin and user local bin. This is a s bin, and this is a bin, and this is going to be s bin and a user bin. All these are different locations. What exactly meant by this? And you can see for every location we are using, if you want to append a new address location, we are using a colon, only s bin, only bin. What exactly meant by this? So whenever we execute a single command, and if you remember yesterday while installing a Java package, I have shown you where exactly it is installing. And sometimes it is installing into user local sbin, and sometimes it is installing user local bin. And if it is a system packages, it is directly installing inside slash bin. If you see slash bin is something link which is referring to user bin. Sbin is a link which is referring to user sbin. The same likewise the libraries and user libs. These are soft links which are referring to this particular one, the original file system. And if you want to install any new package, for example, yesterday we have installed our Java package with the help of apt-get install Java or something. I've used update also. So all these updated libraries, it will get installed automatically in their respective locations. So we don't have any control to install my package to this particular location. Hey, I want to install a particular package inside my user home, for example. So that's where I'm talking about binaries. So types of installation of any package. One is with a package manager, either M or apt or brew for Mac. So based on distribution, we can use the distribution respective installation process like a package manager. In this case, I'm using a binaries, and this platform specific package also we have discussed how we can install exe or a Debian package. Let me just download any folders or any package from the internet. Before that, let me just check whether curl command is there or not. Yeah. That is a C URL. Curl is a C URL. So with the help of a curl, we can connect to any web, like any HTTPS URL. Like we can see, mostly it will be used in to connect like a REST API calls, or to check any target system, the response code or a result without logging to the target machine. If you want to check that particular service is working or not, or something you want to get any information from the target machine by calling to their exposed REST APIs. So, and those and all, you don't need to be aware for now, but in future it will be habituated. For a Linux or a DevOps engineer, we mostly use a curl for downloading a package from a Google, or downloading package from any of the local sources, any other local servers which we have hosted. And for other situations like a testers, they used to do API testing with the help of a Postman, or else they can directly do with the help of a curl followed by whether it is a post or get command. So I don't want to discuss about that. You will get confused. No, it was not downloaded. The package is not available since those articles are very long. I want to download OpenJDK. And you can see there are commands. They are directly specifying us to use a particular command to get installed. Let's say I want to use a Java 1.8. They are giving M command with the package manager. Now our case, I don't want a package. So rather, I want a package in the form of binaries, targz file, so that I can extract and I can install in my local user workspace instead of installing in a system level. And I don't want to install that. And so these are builds available in the format of zip for Windows, targz file for Mac. This is just a compression or a packaging process or a technique. So this is not something related to any application. This is not only for Java. This packaging is same common for any other applications in a Linux, like Apache or Nginx, or any software which you are going to install in your target machines. It can be any software, but the format of extension is a targz file if you want to get downloaded and installed with the help of binaries. So if you want to install directly Debian or RPM, you can download the particular version of RPM file or Debian. So a particular version of dpkg or rpm for Red Hat, so like jdk 1.8.0 underscore build 137.0. So you can download this rpm file and you can install with the help of rpm command, or something for Ubuntu or Debian. You can download the dpkg packages or you can install, and the same for Windows as well. You can download jdk exe file. You can install that. It will install in a system level. Even it will do the same thing. When you apply with a package manager, it will install in a system level in random locations. And even when you install this exe, it will exe or a Debian, whatever. This also do the same thing. It will install in randomly in different location. And when it comes to the third process for installing via binaries, now I'm talking about a binaries. Let me just copy this. So now it has downloaded 108 MB file. So now we can see JDK, OpenJDK was downloaded from the internet with the help of curl command. This particular target file, if I click on this link, it will directly download in my local machine. Instead of that, I just taken a copy link. So what does that mean? So this is a link which I have copied, download.java.net with all general availability link. And in the last, you can see the package name, OpenJDK 17.02 or Linux architecture 64 bin.targz file. So, and I should have, okay, I might not have shown you how to extract it. So now we will be habituated with a new command. How do we extract a zip file? Either it is a targz file or a general gz file. tar-xvf extract verbose the forcefully this particular OpenJDK folder, or not a folder, it is a file. Now you can see it is extracting everywhere inside. It has created a folder JDK 1702. Inside that it is extracting libs folder and releases and a legal. That means my software got extracted. I'm just listing out what is there inside my JDK folder. You can see releases, a bin and libraries, conf. And as you know, so whenever you're trying to execute any command, ls or a cd or a tar, so we have used a tar command to extract the zip file and followed by the package name which you are going to extract it. And the previous command curl. First time I have used the curl, it was failed. Binary output can mess up your terminal. Use output hyphen output to tell curl to output to your terminal anyway, or consider --output. That means the file name which you are going to save. So I'm trying to download this particular file, but I'm not giving any name. Then after that, I've given a name, --output is openjdk.gz file. That's what this file name. If I give another name, example, I have given a hello, it will download with the name hello. You can see the difference. For package, it is showing a different color. For this hello, it is showing a different color. But the permissions are remaining or everything same. This is both are files only, but it will vary based on a package. And you can see in regular life, for videos we are making out of our mobile, it will be MP4 or MKV, the movies, the Blu-ray prints. And coming to our images, we used to have a JPEG, PNG, different formats of images. So likewise, whenever we are downloading any package or something related to any software, that will be having a proper extension or the naming convention. So we should follow that. So now I'm extracting my particular OpenJDK. So I have already extracted. I'm going inside my Java JDK and I'm just coming back. Before that, let me check what is my Java version. So right now I'm using a Java 11.0, which is set by default system. Yesterday we have installed OpenJDK with the help of apt-get, that is an OpenJDK 11.14. And now I have downloaded and customized Java binary package, and I just want to check what is the version of that. Cannot execute the binary file, exec format error. Let me go into the bin folder. Read, write, execute. So let me just copy to the different user location and we'll try what is the error we get to know. cp-r jdk 2/home ubuntu jdk. I'm just giving every all the permissions to my user folder for anybody. Recursively. So I'm exiting from my user, from the root user. I'm going to my user folder. And let me just check it out, Java version, permission denied. So why it is looking for this particular location? So let me just Google it out. What might be the reason? I think somewhere in my downloads I have a JDK. So is it where exactly? Okay. It is in my local actually. So yeah. So I'm switching back to the root user. I'm just looking out what are the command which I have executed previously. So because I want to see this particular curl command. Anytime if you forgot what you have used your previous command, you can see in history command. When you just use history in your terminal, you can see all the list of commands which you have used for practicing or redirecting for any other activity. It will just list out from the starting session. I think it will keep, I don't remember the timing. Mostly it will create more than 500 records or 1,000 records, I think. So this is the first command which we have used for updating the packages. So all of the commands, it will be saved in this history folder, history file. This history file will vary based on user to user. What exactly meant by that? Let me just list out ls-lrta in my user space. So you can see the bash history, my user home. There is a bash history folder. So that's what the history is referring to. In this particular file, it is storing all the commands which we have executed.
Rajendra,
And yeah, please.
I'm little confused by looking at all these comments.
I didn't get you exactly. History command or
No, no, not history command. I have understood the history command, but whatever you are doing for the package installation or updates, I'm little confused from there.
okay, package installation apt get update, right? Is that confusion or uh, I
But
didn't
yeah,
get you. Can you name any commands that you have confusion?
curl, curl command.
Okay, curl command. So curl command I have used to download a package from the remote location.
Okay.
Oh, 1 second. So curl I have used. This case, I want to install OpenJDK 1702 package, or I want to download this particular binary. If I click on this, it will download directly. It is asking for me to download, but I don't want to download in my local. I want to download it into my Linux machine. Since we don't have a UI there, we need to depend on our commands to download any package, to copy any package. So since it is from internet, I want to download. So I've taken a URL of this particular binary and I'm
So
going back to my, yep.
whatever you have shown yesterday, we can
Mhm.
achieve it from curl also, right?
And you're talking about apt get install OpenJDK,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yesterday
So
we have used
that
command and
exactly, that is a one way of installation. As I said, we can install a package into any software in a multiple ways.
okay. So what is the best
Software.
practice?
So mostly we depend on binaries, and some situations, let's say we have to do patching to kernel or patching to operating system. Since you are into industry, you might have listened, you might have heard about a
Patching.
patching or maintenance activities.
Yes.
Okay, those patching and maintenance activities, they is to prepare packages respective to the environment. Let's say we have 1,000 VMs of Ubuntu or 1,000 VMs of Red Hat machines. They will prepare RPM packages. What are the security patches we need to install? What are the application specific packages we need to install? What are the libraries, dependent libraries we need to install? So those will be prepared before only in their local environment. Once they are doing a POC, once they are doing a testing, they don't directly patch the production machines or lower environments without testing. So what they do, they just download the dependency packages in the form of platform specific builds. So if they do apt get update, it will update everything. And yesterday itself, I said we don't use apt get update option in industry mostly, unless we are doing any POC or a practicing, or it is not recommended to use apt get update. It will update every package to the latest version. So rather what we are doing, we are updating only required packages. For this situation, I have a Ubuntu machine. I need to update some Java related library or something related to kernel package I want to update. I will download this particular DPKG, which is suggested by our local IT team, or not IT team, a cyber security or a infra team. So they will suggest us and they will provide the packages. Hey, these packages has come for this quarter. We need to patch our servers. So by taking those packages, we need to install with the help of, like for RPM -I or RPM install, by providing this package name, like in this case JDK RPM. We have to install it manually, or for different, for apt dpkg install some JDK version dot dpkg. So based on distribution, we used to have a package management commands or installation commands. So we have to follow them for installing the packages. And we don't
Okay.
use this for regular, like Apache installation, like a test runners, or any Java based or testing based tools installation, or Jenkins installation. Any tools, we don't use this process like downloading RPM files and installing there, or something with package manager. We don't follow. So rather we used to install or set up with the help of tar bundles or binaries. So binaries is nothing but we can use the same binary for any platform, most of the Linux distributions.
Okay.
So and curl we are talking about if you want to download those binaries from the remote, not only the binaries, any files. Let's say you want to download a PDF file or any manual file, we can download it through curl. Okay, this is just a downloading process, not curl is not doing any installations or something.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you mean to
Since we are
say
run,
if we
yeah,
have
please.
any file, if we have any files from business and that was downloaded in the form of, I mean, those were copied in our local, and we want to export those files into our Linux machine. So
Yeah,
in such case, will what?
it will work. Curl won't work because inside our local machine, we don't have a static IPs or we are not hosting our file system as a web server or as any file system. Since it is not available to the public, let's say imagine um, on my EC2 machine, if I am able to access my local computer from this particular EC2 machine, if I was able to control my local machine, anybody can copy your information to the remote location. So that is not authorized. Rather, what we do, we have a WinSCP and some other mediums to copy. Let me just show you that.
Yeah, I'm aware of the WinSCP, but curl
Okay,
works only for
the downloading from the hosted locations.
okay.
Okay, and like we used to have artifacts in organizations, Nexus server or JFrog Artifactory. From there, if you want to get download the latest artifacts for the testing purpose, so we can use the
But
curl there also.
in real time,
I-
we don't have any permissions to get content from internet, right? Will it allow?
No, not only for the internet. See, some companies allow. Even I used to download directly into my servers from the internet. So based on a company and their policies, and coming to the curl, not only for internet, you can download it from the local servers. Imagine you have an infrastructure for a developer environment or QA environment and a production, and somewhere you have a dependency components which are hosted in. If companies are not allowing us to download a package from the internet, they will maintain some cache servers internally. I got it. From the cache servers, you have to download your package. So by providing that particular server URL curl, followed by server URL, and followed by where exactly the package is. From those cache servers, we can do the curl. It will download.
Okay.
So let me just copy this particular virtualization ping. SCP hyphen the source file virtualization. So anytime if you want to copy any file from your local machine to the EC2 instance, let's say you're practicing something and you have some notes or the script which you have written in your local machine, you can directly copy from local to the remote machine. Let me open that. This is my EC2 machine which is running. Inside that, I want to copy to my home Ubuntu user location. So it was copied, and I'm just coming back to our EC2 terminal. Now we can see on a remote machine, I can see my file which I have copied. So if you're using a Windows, we have to dependent on WinSCP. Copy from local to remote. Remote in the sense EC2 instance. So with SCP command, the file name and the destination is remote. Remote is nothing but Ubuntu 8 IP address or EC2 user 8 IP address and followed by address on which file system it has to copy. I want to copy to my user home Ubuntu, or I can copy to root directly. So SCP is a command where we can copy not only from the local, from server to server. If you have two EC2 instances, you want to copy data between them, you can use a SCP. SCP, the file name and the target machine, either it is a remote EC2 instance or a different machine. So we can copy that.
Yeah, Rajendra. So
Yep,
by using this SCP command and by giving the EC2 instance, in same way, if we want to copy all the dependencies from other server, instead of curl, we can use SCP file name and this EC2 instance, right?
exactly. So what we are talking about, curl we are using to download a software, not to copy. So downloading is nothing but somewhere the package was hosted. That means an OpenJDK website, if you see this particular URL, it is listening on HTTPS. On a website, they have hosted this particular targz file. Okay,
Okay.
somewhere inside their servers, they're
So
running a web server, and
actually,
yeah,
I'm
please.
not getting it. In real time, in what situations we will download these packages? Is it our responsibility to download all these packages in servers, or else uh, it is
Yeah, it's
some other
based on
responsibility?
need. See, it's our need only typically, because you have got assigned a task to set up a Jenkins node. They're
Okay,
onboarding a new Jenkins nodes or a new developer environment. So on a developer environment, they have mentioned you about, after multiple discussions with the dev and QA teams, you might be having a system requirements. Okay, with
okay,
this configuration, you might receive a EC2 machine and you need to configure application dependencies like a JDK, like Maven, and some other softwares. From where we have two options. You can download to your local machine, you can copy with the help of SCP, or some situations your local machine they don't allow to copy from your local machine. They might have they might have some restrictions. So that's where you have to download it directly from the machine for a POC purpose or something. Even I have personally set up many servers with the help of directly downloading with curl the packages from the internet. Okay, uh,
okay,
for installing and setup we have to do that. There is no dedicated teams since DevOps is evolving and the system admin roles are deprecating. So we need to set up all the machines like a development environment or QA environment. So all those environments we need to set up.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, and you were talking about how, application of this downloading and how do we download it, right? As I mentioned, this particular software is hosted on the download.java.net website. Internally, this might be running on a Tomcat or something. It might be running on HTTP AD, or this might web server. This might be running on Nginx. So this is listening to public. That means somewhere some website is listening to public and they have hosted some files and I want to download. We cannot download or we cannot copy them with an WinSCP, right? This is public hosted internet hosted website, and we cannot use SCP to download this particular thing. And instead of that, we are using a curl. And in local situation, in general situations from server to server, we don't need to use a curl, because on that particular target server or where you want to copy your particular package, there is no web server listening. Okay, and there is no HTTP protocol in that server. So that's why we are just copying with the help of SCP. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, anybody is having any questions? So if everything is fine, let's close the session.